Hello everyone. Today we are going to start active and passive voice part 2. In part 1 we have done the structure of active and passive voice, and we have also learned the rules of changing active sentence to passive sentence. Today in the class we will understand which are the sentences which can be changed into passive voice and which are the sentences which cannot be changed into passive voice. First, we can change only those sentences into passive which have transitive verb. Which have transitive verb. Now, what is transitive verb? Transitive verb means which has an object or action is passing on to something. Now, if you see an example, he washes clothes. He is a subject, washes is a verb, and clothes is an object. Clear? So here, what is the action? Action is washes. Who is washing the clothes? He is washing the clothes. And this action, washes, is passing on to what? It is passing on to clothes. So that is the reason it is an object. And that is the reason we call washes is a transitive verb. Clear? Now, if you see another example, Jia cooked the food. So, Jia is a subject, cooked is a verb, the food is an object. Clear? Now here what kind of action is happening? Cook. Cooking is happening, right? And this cooking is happening onto what? It is happening onto food. This action is passing on to food. So that is the reason this is a transitive verb. Correct? Now we can change this active into passive voice. He washes clothes. The passive will be clothes are washed by him. And what will be the passive of Jia cooked the food? The food was cooked by Jia. Correct. I hope till here it is clear. Now let's see which are the sentences which we cannot change into passive. The sentences which have intransitive verb. Intransitive verb means which does not have an object. Now if you see here this example, you can see baby cried loudly. Now baby, subject, cried is a verb. Loudly. Loudly is not an object. It's an adverb. How did baby cry? Baby cried loudly. So loudly is an adjective, not an sorry, adverb, not an object, right? So baby cried loudly. Here baby is a subject, cried is a verb. Although we have a verb in this sentence, but it is not passing on to something. So that is the reason this sentence has intransitive verb. Now if you can see other example, birds fly. Birds is a subject, fly is a verb. Now this fly is an action, but it is not passing on to anything. So this sentence, active sentence, cannot be changed into passive sentence because it has an intransitive verb. Correct? Okay. Now let's see if a sentence has two objects. In part 1 we have done all the sentences with only one object. Now let's say if we have one sentence which has two objects. You can see the example. Mr. William is a subject, teaches is a verb. What does he teach? He teach English. This is object 1, and to whom it is he is teaching? He is teaching us. So it will be object 2. Now in these kind of sentences you can make your passive voice with object 1 also and with object 2 also. Correct? Now if you see the example passive voice here, if you take object 1 as your subject, so English is taught to us by Mr. William, right? Now if you take object 2 as your subject, then we are taught English by Mr. William. Correct? Now if you see another sentence here, Mr. William teaches English to us. This is also correct. This is one way to write, this is another way to write. So Mr. William is a subject, teaches is verb, English is object 1 and us is object 2. Again it will be same. The passive will be same for both the sentences. English is taught to us by Mr. William, or we are taught English by Mr. William, right? Okay, now let's see another example. John gave me a letter. So what is John? John is a subject, gave is a verb, me is object 2, and what did he give? He gave me a letter, so it will be object 1. Again, you can use any object, object 1 or object 2 to make your passive voice, but it is always advisable to use only object 1. It's okay, you can use object 2 also, but if you are using object 1, then your sentence is much more clear. Clear? Now, this sentence can also be written as John gave a letter to me. So, John is what? Subject, gave is verb, a letter is object 1 and object 2. Right? Now, you may get confused that, ma'am, how to find out which is object 1 and which is object 2. So, action which is directly passing on to something, that will be object 1. Now, John gave. What did he give? He gave a letter. So, letter will be object 1. To whom did he give? He gave it to me. So, I will be object 2. Right? Now, in the second sentence, you can see in this sentence that John gave a letter to me. So, John gave. What did he give? A letter. Letter will be object 1 and me will be object 2. So, you can either use object 1 or object 2 for changing passive voice. Now here if you are using object 1, a letter was given to me by John, and if you are using object 2, then I was given a letter by John. I hope this is clear. Okay, now let's begin with the active imperative sentences. Now what are imperative sentences? Imperative sentences are like order, command, advice, suggestion, request, etc. Right? Order can be go forward, move forward. Command can be don't look at back. Advice can be take your medicines regularly. Suggestion may be let's go for a walk. Or request may be please share your book with me. Right? These are the different imperative sentences. And most of the imperative sentences you may find that there's a subject missing. Right? So subject is implied. Right? Subject has implied here. But it may not be explicitly mentioned in the sentence. Now, if you can see an example, don't touch that vase, right? Or do the project. Here, you or the subject is not here. It is already understood that the subject is you. Clear? Now, these imperative sentences if you want to change into passive? Then the structure will be we are going to use let, then subject, then be, then verbs, third form or past participle. Right? Now let's check one example here. Let not the vase be touched. If you look at this first example, do not touch the vase. The passive will be let not that vase be touched. Now if you see, what is my first rule? Identify verb and object. Second rule, object will become subject, subject will become object. So now here we do not have a subject, right? You is not there. So it will not be there in my passive voice also. So let not that vase be touched. Now if you see another example, do the project. Do is verb and project is an object. Do the project. Again object will become subject, verbs third form. So let the project be done. Understood? Okay, now let's take another example. Lock the door. Again here you is missing, subject is not there, but we have verb and we have an object. So let the door be locked. If you follow the structure, this structure, let plus subject plus be plus verbs third form. So here let the door be locked. Second example is follow the directions, right? Or follow the direction. So let the direction be followed. Clear? Understood? So this was imperative sentences. Now you have one exercise. If you want to do this exercise right now, you can do it. And if you practice these sentences, then your rules will get practiced. Okay, thank you everyone. In next class, we are going to discuss active interrogative sentences, how to change them into passive voice. Thank you. Happy learning.